Welcome to Money Matters. My name's DCrowell. I'm from Mortgage Network, and I'm here to do the first segment of the show today, which will endeavor to take international events, national events, economic events, and try to make sense of them, most particularly in the context of our local economy. So that's always the effort, is to take the maneuverings of the world and to try and make sense of them in our local economic setting. Starting here locally, we are coming today, Friday, after the hurricane. We're coming out of a 1-week tailspin of a buildup of very bad news to a hurricane event, tropical storm event, which mercifully caused us damage, but not a great deal of damage. So our economic engine is back and running. Flood conditions, minor flood conditions, in some cases fairly significant, are being remedied around the island, but it does appear that we have missed 90% of what could have been, and all of our first responders and our government officials and so forth deserve a great deal of our thanks and gratitude for pulling all of that off very smoothly. We are now kicking off what is traditionally the real estate, the autumn real estate market, which is traditionally strong in Hilton Head and Bluffton. The bookings, realtors are reporting that the bookings of people coming in to make trips to view property are increasing. Always when there's a disruption, the bookings go away for a certain period of time, and then the question is, will the people rebook? Will they get centered and get ready to move? It looks like the bookings are coming, which is good news, because we have had a reasonably good market this year. In some of the neighborhoods, a very, very strong market. What's always most interesting is not precisely what people do, but how they arrive at a decision-making point in their lives. And that's one of the things that's most fascinating to me in my business career, is what leads, what are the conditions, what are the components that lead someone to be decisive. The biggest one, of course, is life changes that are attributable to aging. So the big one for this area is the retirement-oriented baby boomers who are coming in increasing numbers to this area month by month by month. We've been waiting a long time. They're absolutely arriving in droves, and we welcome them with open arms. This is leading to very vibrant communities throughout Bluffton and Greater Bluffton, to the entire beltway between Savannah and all the way up to Charleston. We have the benefit of the same group of people coming on to Hilton Head and buying property here, vacationing here, and buying property here. That's the largest decision maker, is that the strength of the need to move on. This is Friday. I've been with 5 or 6 clients yesterday, each of whom talked about the importance of getting on with the next phase of their lives. These are clients who are in their 60s and early 70s, and felt that they had postponed doing what they really wanted to do long enough and wanted to get moving. And then 2 of the clients were first home buyers. So you can see the very, very different motivations that this market needs to support. The other big deciders or decision factors come from general conditions and the perception, psychological perception of what is a stable time, a good time, or a bad time. The stock market has again this week risen to a new high. The industrial average, Dow Jones Industrial Average, has hit a new high. The S&P also hit a new high. It's remarkable given the fact that inflation is below 2% and is now forecast by the Treasury Department to be at 1.85% as a rolling factor, inflation factor for the next 10 years, 1.85%. Now, obviously with variations, but they're forecasting that the annual rate of inflation for the next 10 years will be 1.85%. That means that job growth will be earnings will be approximately the same. That means that GDP will be approximately the same. What's very interesting is that in years past, periods of low inflation have led to strong stock markets, which are followed by a small rise in inflation or a jolt in the inflation rate can have the effect of collapsing a very, very strong stock market, because when the inflation is down below 2% and interest rates are extraordinarily low, the money that goes into the bond market tends to dry up, and the money flows and flows and flows and flows into the stock market. And we are seeing that at precisely this time. What has happened in the past is that when a jolt to inflation occurs, when a jolt upwards in inflation occurs, the results are a rapid adjustment of the stock market down because of its relative strength. In the last 2 or 3 days, we've seen an uptick in the 10-year Treasury from 2.1% to 2.2%. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot to people who track interest rates. Correspondingly, the folks who watch the Treasury and who watch the Fed are now predicting that the likelihood of a federal funds rate increase in December has risen from 0.3%, from a 33% likelihood to a 55% likelihood. So it has now, just in the last several days, become much more likely that we're going to have a Fed funds increase in December. For all of you who have equity lines, credit cards, who are going to be in the consumer credit market, that means that your rate is going up by 0.25%, because that's passed on straight through to the consumer credit market. That's it for the first segment of Money Matters. In the second segment, we have Emily Johnson of Polaris Capital. So hold on, and the second segment will be coming up in just a moment. Thank you.